Okay, wait a minute. Where are you? Why didn't you come in today? Hey? What do you mean you're taking... What the hell? What's a me day? What do you mean you're taking a me day? Like you're just taking the day off. It's a me day. I'll tell you what. Take the next 100 days as me days too. All right, yeah. Bye. Enjoy. Okay. Have you ever heard of that? A me day? We used to call it calling in sick, but whatever. Welcome to season 4, episode 16 already of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. We are fueled by Gale's Gas Bars. We are powered by WeeStreem. We are also supported by Verge Insurance Group Limited, Hartzell Marine, and Ace Alignment. And we're happy to have all those folks with us as we come into the wonderful Fiddler's Pour House Bistro. And there are your luncheon specials if you want to come on down and join us on site for this episode 16 of the show. We have a couple of ladies going to be on the air today that have had some pretty harrowing experiences and are going through some tough times. Both of them having lost their husbands in different ways, and we'll chat with both of them as the program goes on. And again, you are more than welcome to join this program. All you have to do is, as we're streaming this, which we are right now, of course, on Niagara 411, thanks Nick, hi Nick's mom, it's lime season. Okay, so you can just click on the link at the bottom of the post that's streaming this show, and if you have an opinion, or you have something that you want to bring up, something you want to promote, just get off your chest, or whatever. It's your show, and it's live. And all you need is a computer or a phone with a working camera and a working microphone, and we're in business. And we'll be back in 30 seconds. Hope you come on in. Here we go. With this episode 16 of season 4 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. Glad to have you here at Fiddler's Poorhouse. And Kevin Jack, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, he's off working now. Oh, we forgot the lights. Oh my God.
Damn.
Oh, this.
Now how am I going to do this?
That's okay. Go in front. That's all right. It's live. What are you going to do? All right, now we have all of my various and sundry flaws enhanced because of the lights. Then, just in case you're wondering, Hollywood doesn't even know I'm here. Well, they might know I'm here, but I'm not a member of the union, so I don't have to be on strike. Okay, I know I'm a highly paid media professional available on this feed around the world. But I'm not a member of SAG or the Writers Union, so SAG, that's cool kid talk for the Screen Actors Guild. I'm not one of those people. We just do this under the radar until now. Kevin Jack of WeeStreem, co-founder with Brandon Scram, Canada's premier streaming company for whatever event or promotion or whatever you want to do. These are the guys that bring this wonderful technology to you. Kevin, how you been? A couple of weeks now. Kids are now out of school.
Yeah, I've been very well and enjoying having them home. We were all over the pool the last couple of days, and we'll be in it again this afternoon. Snuck in a trip to Darien Lake last week. First time camping there. The kids are kind of graduating now into some of the bigger rides, so it was an absolute blast. And I would say summer 2023 is off to a roaring start. How about you?
I'm good. I played a couple of games of golf here and there. So I have no complaints. I heard, though, is it an ugly rumor, or is there some truth to this, that you're going into the deck building business?
Oh no, that's an ugly rumor. I'm done my deck. It took me 2 years.
How long did it take you to build your deck?
2 years.
2 years.
Now, in my defense, it's 1,800 square feet. So there you go. It's a
That's
large
a big
one.
deck.
Yep. And now, know what
People
I've
like guys with big decks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My wife loves my big deck. And Lee, I've been looking forward to sitting on it all summer, and that's exactly what I've been doing.
All right. I appreciate the invitation. I haven't made it over yet, though. Oh, wait. The invitation must be in the mail. Speaking of projects, demolition and building and otherwise, wow, do we have a lot going on in the city of St. Catharines when it comes to demolition projects. There's supposed to be other projects in their place, but right now they're in the demolition phase. We've got, now which one is this we're looking at? Is this the arena?
Yeah.
Is this Jack Gaycliff?
Yeah, Jack Gaycliff and Rex Steimers.
Jack Gaycliff and Rex Steimers is now virtually gone. There's a pile of rubble just off Geneva Street at the corner of where you head off to 406. You know where it is, right at the end of St. Paul here. And there's a bunch more yet to come down. There's still some framework and infrastructure of that building yet to come down, as you can see, because there's the old hockey boards still.
Yeah, that's
right
got to
there.
be the Rex.
Yeah,
right there. I think I scored a few goals right in there.
Talk about the ends of eras happening here in Niagara. So there's a longer view of it right there. Obviously, as I mentioned, some more to come down.
Yeah, so it looks like they started with Rex and were making their way over to the Jack Gaycliff.
And apparently, Kevin, as I understand it, there is still some indecision as to what's going to be going on that site.
I'm not entirely sure, Lee.
There are options, apparently. Now, one of the options, there's the Rex Steimers sign. Talk about,
I mean, how does
a
that
lot of
happen?
memories, you know?
How does that happen, Lee? How do we not contact the Steimers family? I mean, it says right on it, Memorial Arena, and I mean, obviously it got picked out of the rubble.
Yeah.
But how is that something that's not treated a little nicer?
Yeah. I mean, maybe there was some better communication or whatever behind the scenes, but there was nothing public about this, and it would have been interesting, as you mentioned, to have some representative of the family sort of officially cut the ribbon of destruction, if you will, for that building that has served St. Catharines and Niagara as a whole so well over the years. But all good things must pass, and that is definitely passing. One of the other places not very far away from us still is just over on James Street here, a stone's throw from Fiddler's Poorhouse, where we currently sit. Actually, just off the back on James Street is Gord's Place, is now finally being the recipient of the wrecking ball and the deconstructionists. It soon to be replaced, we hope soon to be replaced, by a 30, count them, 30 floor multi-purpose building. Retail, as I understand it, on the lower levels, and mainly residential on the remaining floors.
Yeah, I mean, Lee, I can picture this. It was, Gord's Place for so long had a spell as the honest lawyer, and I mean, remember walking through those archways. I think the bar was more over in this area.
Oh, Kevin, I have so many memories of Gord's Place from back in the 70s, early 70s.
Well, people that remember, wasn't there also the Viper Room or something?
Yeah, that came after, I think. But I remember there was a band. Oh boy, this is dating me. There was a band that used to come in there, and they used to all dress like, well, actually, to be perfectly honest, they were dressed like pimps. But they were these guys, great singers, massive following. They were called the Soul City Six. And they came out in these yellow suits and floppy hats and stuff, and they did the disco and the soul stuff, and they were just awesome. And they used to play Gord's Place quite a bit, and I'll never forget going to see them. And then, of course, they went into the disco era with the DJs, and all that stuff. It became quite the nightclub spot for DJs and the dancers of the area, etc. The Gord's Place, and I remember the Montebello Inn as well, was a place that had a lot of great live entertainment. But anyway, yet another end of another era as Gord's Place gets the wrecking ball treatment with as I say, 30 stories. I'm trying to envision a stand-back look of the downtown area of St. Catharines with a 30-story building right there in the heart of downtown. That has to change the skyline a lot, Kevin.
Well,
I mean, it's going to look
You see the one that's
different.
going in next to the parking garage, just down the road here. I don't know what that is. Is that, it looks like it's at least somewhere 25 stories. So I'm not sure if this one's, I think this one is going to be the tallest, the Gord's Place at 30 stories.
That, as I understand it, is going to be the tallest structure in St. Catharines.
But you're absolutely right in saying it's going to change the skyline. I mean,
Wow.
You can see that one that's under construction now, that is visible from, I want to say, all parts of St. Catharines, but beyond,
Right.
especially once you get up to Feulled and on top of the escarpment. I mean, it's the tallest structure right now in downtown.
Yeah. Well, when you come over the St. Catharines at the Garden City Skyway, there is one block building that stands above the rest of the skyline of the horizon, and that's Brock University. That's the tallest structure, and that is nowhere near 30 stories. So imagine what this is going to look like. But we have a lot of piles of rubble, Kevin, and I know I'm focusing on St. Catharines, and this is an entirely Niagara region focused program, but a lot of this stuff is happening in St. Catharines, so we have to kind of focus on this because they're all tied together. There's that pile of rubble that used to be the Welland House on Ontario Street, and I was seeing an interview with the manager of St. Catharines Club, which is just across the street. It's been a club in St. Catharines, for business club in St. Catharines for a long time, and they host events there like weddings, etc. And the manager, she was saying that they have lost events, weddings in particular, wedding receptions, etc., wedding dinners and whatnot, because of that horrible vista that is available through the front of that structure to the Welland House rubble across the street. And it's just laying there. And there isn't anybody that's telling anybody what they're going to do with it or how it's going to be done. The cleanup of the demolition just seems to be dragging on slowly. So there's that area. There's the General Motors debacle still sitting there on Ontario Street with bunches of rubble on one side and just a boarded up, bricked up building, which was the plant, on the other side. So there's nothing going on there. General Hospital site down on Queenston, that's still kind of Queenston Street is now more of a grungy mess than it ever was, and it was never that pleasant to begin with. Sorry, calling a spade here. And now it's worse. Businesses have closed that exist along there. And we have a lot of rubble in the city of St. Catharines, all kind of converging together, and we hope this development continues. I guess looking down the road, if the development continues the way they're hoping it will continue, it'll be a step forward. Right now, it just looks like crap, but I guess things have to go bad before they get better. But the arenas is a real nostalgic point for an awful lot of Niagarans that went to enjoy Junior B games there and Junior A's and all kinds
institutions. You talk about Gord's, right? Everybody's got a memory of going to Gord's,
Sure.
be they 22 years old or 62 years old.
Yeah.
Everybody went there at some point, and same with Garden City Jack Gatecliff, right?
Absolutely.
If you spend some time in St. Catharines, it doesn't matter how old you are, at some point you went there, you watched a game, you skated there, you went to the circus. Remember the great circus that used to run through there? Bryan Adams, people talk very fondly of a Bryan Adams concert way back, I think in the 90s, that he did at Garden City Arena. I mean, so many memories, and now it's reduced to rubble, but I think that's just how it goes.
What goes around comes around. Each in every world as it turns, there is a purpose. I was almost laughing here because caught in the midst of all this, not too far from the arena situation, out in front of the downtown St. Catharines fire station, is the now almost world-renowned public toilet building, which I don't think is being used any longer. This is an era that ended before it ever should have began, or begun, is probably the right grammatical phrase. But there have been so many issues with that public toilet that I apparently think seemed like a good idea at the time, that it looks to me like it's permanently closed. They have a little red light that's flashing occupied. Well, it's occupied now 24/7. So I just think it's been locked down. So we have this nice little so-called self-cleaning toilet that.
Yeah, I wonder what that's about, Lee.
It's just a bad idea.
Yeah, but I can't think that St. Catharines was the first place to install one of these. I mean, they exist in big cities, don't they? So how do they get it right in, let's say, a New York City, and it's not working in St. Catharines? I don't. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's monitored. Maybe it's I have no idea. But they have had no end of problems and vandalism and terrible stuff that has happened there, to the point where it did not serve the purpose that it was intended to serve. And now we've got this little building sitting there, high-tech little building, high-tech little toilet, self-cleaning. It's just sitting there, and it'll probably be the next thing to be demolished. I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do with that thing. Want to acknowledge our sponsors once again here before we go too much further in the program, and then we'll give you an idea about what's coming up on the show today. Gale's Gas Bars, of course, has been fueling this program almost from its inception and continue to support us, and we appreciate that. And they do fuel, but so much more. They do farms, businesses, construction sites, manufacturing plants, all kinds of transportation for any and all petroleum needs. For any kind of petroleum project or machine in Niagara, Gale's Gas Bars is the place to go. Gales.ca is the website there. Also, Hartzell Marine, Dave DeGrave and his gang on Ormond Street in Feulled, Niagara's only legend boat dealer, and Mercury Marine dealer as well. Ace Alignment, thank you for coming on board as well. We have the odd fly. I have the odd pet fly that comes in to visit the show. Ace Alignment on North Street in St. Catharines, specializing in wheel alignments, brakes, suspension, MTO motor vehicle inspection station. For whatever ails your automotive fleet, Ace Alignment is the place to go and the people to see. Just go in and say hi to Darren and Matt, and they will look after you there. Beauchapeau Hat Shop, wearing the soakable hot weather golf hat from Beauchapeau. Kevin Neufeld and his gang on Queen Street, right downtown Niagara on the lake. All the hats for whatever might ail you there, that is for sure. So check them out when you're doing your summer travels and taking a peek around Niagara. That's the place to go. Once you get in, it's hard to get out. Not because it's actually hard to get out. It's just hard to leave. There's just so many things to look at there. So we, Gale's, Virgin Insurance, Beauchapeau, Hartzell Marine, Ace Alignment, all of our sponsors and supporters, we really do appreciate you very, very much. Coming up on the program today, we're going to be in just a few minutes. You may be standing by. I'm not sure, but we'll be shortly. Aimee Corfield, she is the widow of Dave Norkett, who died in a workplace accident at a company called Technoforge in Niagara Falls. It happened on Saturday, the 24th of June. He went in, apparently, as we understand it, to initiate a repair on something. And something we know not yet, really, happened there. And and Dave was killed in this workplace incident. So Aimee's a little reluctant to come on, and understandably a bit on the nervous side, but we just want to have a chat with her and see how she's doing, and she'll be joining us in a few minutes. Also, a lady who has had a tough time of it, Nancy Bousfield Kennedy. Her husband, Mark Stewart, was killed in an automotive accident back on September the 13th of 2021, almost 2 years ago. There was a car driven by a well-known woman in the Niagara area, especially in the world of swimming. Margaret Park Romaine was driving a vehicle, hit Mark's vehicle, pushing it into the path of an oncoming truck, and that's the collision that took his life. The reason we're speaking with Nancy today is the fact that Ms. Park Romaine was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Amongst all this story was the fact that the charge was changed as well, originally from impaired driving causing death to careless driving causing death. I am not sure of the nuances that separate those two charges, but that's what happened, and she was convicted of careless driving causing death. Either way, Mark is not with us, but Nancy will be joining us on the program about 12:45 this afternoon. So those are our planned guests, and as mentioned, you are welcome to join us at any time and be a part of the program. Just click on the link. You can see it right there at the bottom of the post. Click the Zoom link. It'll put you right into contact with Kevin Jack, our executive producer, and you'll be in our green room. That's what the cool kids call it, and then we'll get you ready to come on and anything at all that you want to share with us, by all means. And as promised, Aimee Corfield is joining us, widow of Dave Norkett. Aimee, hi. How are you?
I could be better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can see and hear us. Okay.
Yes. Loud and clear.
Okay. And we have you the same. And I know you're understandably a bit nervous, but don't be. We're just going to have a conversation, and just like having across your dinner table. But I know these are tough times for you. It was Saturday, June the 24th. Did I get that right? That we lost Dave?
Yes.
Can you walk us through that day?
So I was at work that day. I just work in the hotel industry, and our oldest daughter was working with me that day, and I was just doing what I do, and I had a call from the GM saying the police were here to speak with me, and you get immediately panicked.
Yeah.
And as I'm heading down the elevator, the sick feeling in my stomach, I just knew that it was awful. And as soon as I walked into that room and saw the police officer's face, I knew it was Dave, but I didn't think it had anything to do with work. I thought car accident in the hospital. So when they said it was because of work, and then after that, there's a lot I don't remember.
Yeah.
I would say that whole week is quite a blur for me.
Right.
But I do remember having to have them bring up my oldest, and I had to tell her, and it was awful.
You have two daughters, right?
Yes. I have an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Boy, that's got to be tough for teenage girls, not to mention yourself, to lose their dad at that young age.
Yeah.
Was Dave supposed to be working that day?
So normally he would he would often work Saturdays. He liked to make the extra money. He was really hardworking, and he liked, take any shift. I don't know the details. If I, this is my opinion,
Mm,
but I think he was ordered to go in and do this maintenance job
okay,
with another fellow for that day. So that was an extra shift.
right. And so, but this wasn't unusual that he'd be called in to do something.
It wasn't entirely unusual, but this, I'm starting to learn, was a particular job that we believe they shouldn't have been asked to do, because they weren't informed of the possible hazards. They weren't properly trained for this particular job. Now, of course, it's under investigation, so I don't have a lot of details,
Uh,
but that's sort of where we
would
feel.
I be correct if I said that? And I don't want to go into too much detail because we don't have detail, but that you're still not really sure how Dave died, what actually killed him. Would I be correct in saying that?
I know little bits and pieces. At first, I didn't want to know. And then I thought, okay, so I have little bits and pieces,
Okay,
but I don't want to say too much because of the fact that it's under investigation.
understood. Yeah.
But it feels pretty clear that it was a job that they shouldn't have been doing. It should have been an expert doing that particular job.
What was Dave's role uh, at the company? What was his job? What did he do?
So he was maintenance, but it's a forging plant,
Yeah.
and they forge. I, I've never been good at knowing exactly what the guys do in there, but
Right.
they forge metal bars into S cams for truck. And
Okay.
it's always been a very hard, hot, difficult job, but the money was good. The benefits were good.
So it's sort
But
of an
he worked,
automotive support industry.
I think.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
know that, like I said, they forged parts for trucking braking systems.
Okay. Okay. So you're not sure exactly what happened. There is an investigation going on. How have you been? It's been almost a month, right? From June
Yeah.
24th to this is the 19th, so almost a month. What has the last month been like for you?
A nightmare. Dave was someone I've been with since I was 14. He's all I've ever known. He was, we were easily going to grow old together. There was no question. Some of it is a blur, but then, I'm kind of on my own. I have a lot of wonderful support from friends and family.
Right.
So that's been, and even the community, it's been beyond touching. It means more to me than I could ever say. But it's been difficult. I still feel on my own. I have to try to be strong for my girls. And it's a lot of just trying to figure out what the future looks like.
Now, obviously, you and Dave and the girls were not millionaires by any stretch of the imagination. You're just average workaday folks, and there has been a fundraising, a GoFundMe page set up
Yeah.
for your family, and kudos to the fellow that set that up. You had they had a goal of about $30,000. You surpassed that, which is wonderful news, and at least that's some bright spot in a pretty dark cloud that's hovering over you right now.
Well, I just want to make sure that my daughter's futures are okay. I
Yeah.
mean, the fact of the matter is, Dave was the breadwinner. His benefits were what was supporting the family. He was the one bringing in the bigger paycheck and making the life that we have.
Now there's something else that there was a headline I saw somewhere, and it said "the family," and I'm not sure exactly whether that was you or some other members of Dave or your family, was pressuring the government, the various organizations, to really upgrade, to have this company upgrade their health and safety protocols. Is that actually happening, or did I dream that?
No. Initially, I think with the shock of what happened, there was definitely words that were exchanged.
Mm-hmm.
And I know moving forward, whatever that looks like, we want change. I desperately don't want Dave's death to be so senseless and in vain.
Right.
Because we feel for the hardworking blue collared guy who goes to these jobs, and it happens too often, and they need to be protected. People, management of companies, they get too complacent with safety regulations, and it has to change because these guys should be able to go home. So,
Aimee, what organization is it that's actually investigating? We've talked a couple of times, and you've mentioned a couple of times that it's still under investigation. Investigation by whom?
the Ministry of Labor.
Okay, so it is the Ministry of Labor that is going through the motions here.
Yes.
Do you get updates at all from them, or will you just get the
I
report when we do?
I imagine I'll get some updates as it goes along. As far as my understanding is, we probably won't know a whole lot for a year at least.
Now, did you say he was in doing this task with another person?
Yes, he was with one other guy, yeah.
All right, and obviously he didn't suffer any issues here. It was just Dave. Do you know who that was?
I do.
Okay.
I'm going to protect him, of course.
No, I understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't ask you to reveal the identity anyway, but you know this man anyway.
I do, and I've been in touch with him, and I reach out to him as often as I can.
Okay. And I guess he's not willing to or able to talk too much about it right now either.
No, I wouldn't imagine so. He's he's going through his own things
Okay.
as a result of this. So
Well, you've done great today, and I know you were a little bit hesitant to come and join us, but we really wanted to talk to you and tell you that we're all thinking of you. If anybody wants to check it out, go to the GoFundMe, folks, and search for the Norkett family, Norkett, and you'll be able to help out. Aimee, is there anything else we can help you with before you go?
I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who's really rallied around me and the girls, even people I hadn't talked to in years, neighbors, different fellows of the community, my family. They've really it. I don't even know how to thank these people. It's really touched me. I feel the love, and I just really. My last thing to say is I really hope what can come out of this is some kind of justice for Dave, not vengeance, but justice. And because I feel for those guys, they need to make a living, and I want people to do better.
Aimee Corfield, I don't think of a better way to end it than there. Good luck, Godspeed, and strength, and all the best to you and your girls.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Aimee.
Okay.
Bye. Trials and tribulations that all of a sudden come up out of the blue and change your lives forever. It's hard to wrap your head around.
Couldn't even imagine, Lee. 18 and 15-year-old girls.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking,
that's when you need your dad.
I was talking to Aimee, in preparation for this interview, and saying that was, almost brought tears to my eyes, and saying that was their hero. And he would have been,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Dave said they've been together since high school. Fairly simple family man, really enjoyed coming home, going camping, doing all those family things.
Obviously willing to work whenever he needed to.
And just taken away from him
Poof.
like that.
Yeah.
And taken away from her and the girls. It's
One
what a
flick of the-
situation! What a
one-
situation to be in.
One flick of the switch and your life
I mean,
changes.
it's very reminiscent, Lee, of the heartache and the outpouring of support for Natty with the
I was just
passing
thinking-
of Ryan Conkin in the Sonics explosion.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
have the same feeling in my gut right now. But
And we
boy,
chatted with Natty months after that happened to Ryan, and she's in a good place right now. She's okay. They continued the food truck, the coffee truck dream that was hers and Ryan's, and it was so wonderful when we talked with her just last week or the week before about how she's doing, and it was so wonderful to see her having gotten through the dark place and doing okay. So we wish the same for Aimee Corfield, whose husband just passed away in a workplace accident, Dave Norkett, just a little less than a month ago. So
Yeah, Lee, sorry. I mean, just to bookend that,
Yeah.
here's a photo of Natty, and it's Ryan's Lounge.
Yes.
And it's up in the Port Weller East area.
that is so cool.
So if you're up there and, stop by, say hi to Natty, let her know that the community is supporting her and thinking about her. And
Which is not far from the workplace where he died.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so pleased for her and her supporters. I mean, it's still not going to be an easy ride. It's still not going to be a gravy train by any stretch of the imagination, but she's doing okay, and I guess that's about all we could be happy for. Is she's doing okay. And another lady that's having a tough time of it and has for a couple of years. The reason we're talking with the Nancy Bousfield Kennedy today is the fact that the woman who was responsible for the vehicular death of her husband, Mark Stewart, was sentenced just this past week, I believe, July the 3rd or something like that.
Yeah, within the last week, I believe.
Yeah, and the woman that was driving the car, Margaret Park Romaine, well known in the Niagara area, in the swimming community in particular. She's a Marathon Swimmer Hall of Fame member. She is well known as a coach and instructor of many top athletes. She herself won commendations and awards as a swimmer back in the day. She's 84 years old. She was driving a car that hit Mark's car and knocked it into the path of a large truck, and the ensuing collision is what took Mark's life. And on the heel, almost 2 years ago now, in 2021 in September, and on the heels of that came this conviction this past week, and we're going to chat with Nancy about that at about 1:45 today. Here's another one that is under investigation. An older gentleman, and I too believe he was 84 years old. It said in the notice, he was riding his bicycle in Niagara on the Lake. A vehicle struck him from behind on Thursday, July the 13th, last Thursday, 8:24 in the evening. So it wouldn't have been dark, but he was found in critical condition, lying in a north side drainage ditch on east-west line near Concession 2 in Niagara on the Lake. He'd been riding around the damaged vehicle, and when he was struck from behind, the damaged vehicle fled the scene without providing care to the cyclist or reporting the collision to emergency personnel. The victim transported to an out-of-region hospital for treatment of life-threatening injuries. The victim remains in critical condition in hospital. So the damaged vehicle was, there's a part that they discovered. That's one of the damaged parts, and then there's a mirror there. They must have found that at the scene, I would think, Kevin. They must have hit with enough force that it actually came off the vehicle. It's obviously a rear view mirror or a side mirror or whatever.
Yeah, it looks like a side mirror. And hold on. They want to get into the comments because I believe in the comments somebody included further info from the NRP about the types of vehicles that we're looking for.
Yeah, at first they weren't.
Model.
At first they weren't sure, but it's something they believe like these. I mean, that's obviously an SUV, a large SUV, like a Yukon or something like that. Or the Chevrolet version at the top would be Tahoe, like just the same vehicle, different badge plate on it. And or a pickup truck. That would be like I don't know, is that a Sierra, something like that? But it's a GMC 4x4 pickup truck. So it's either one of those large style SUVs or a full-size pickup truck.
Now, reporting this, you see the comments here from Colleen Franz. And Colleen, I'm trying to remember if we spoke with Colleen. Colleen lost her son in a similar fashion. Remember the man he was struck on Lakeshore Road?
I do remember,
again, nobody stopped, left to die?
Yes.
And so you see Colleen is, near and dear to events like this, and just...
Well, it would obviously strike a chord with her, and not a pleasant one either, for sure. So those are the parts. What would that be? That would be like a fog light or a running light?
I'm not sure what it is.
It's got a little bit of orange in it, so maybe it's like a...
I think they talk about it.
Parking thing with a reflector at the bottom. Yukon, Suburban, or a Sierra pickup truck. Yeah, there we go. Vehicle color will be pewter, metallic, or silver.
Oh, there you go. And we'll have damage to the passenger side front corner, missing a passenger side view mirror.
Yeah. Okay. So we wish all good things and a successful recuperation for this gentleman, and thoughts for his family. Boy, that's tough. That's a tough collision to take when you're that age. Now, obviously, if he was cycling for 84, he was probably in pretty good shape, but that doesn't protect you against a vehicle that size. So, right. Kevin, before we go on, I just want to run down the sponsors again. Our main sponsor for the program. They've been fueling this program like they've been fueling Niagara for many, many years. Gales Gas Bars, thank you very much. Jessica and crew. And it was actually Jessica that highlighted a story for me that we followed up on that has taken on a life of its own. We'll talk about that in just a second. Also to Verge Insurance, Mark Shirk, Blake Shirk, and your gang, another Niagara born and bred company for all of your insurance needs, be it home, auto, whatever. Those are the folks to chat with, and they are brokers, so they'll find you the best deals going for what your situation requires. Also, Hartsel Marine, thank you, Dave DeGray, for coming on board about 3 shows ago. Happy to have you here. They're on Ormond Street in Feulled, Niagara's only Legend boat dealer, and Mercury Marine dealers as well. And to Ace Alignment, thank you very much for being here. Wheel alignments, brakes, suspension, MTO, motor vehicle inspections, etc. Matt and Darren will be happy to meet your needs at Ace Alignment. They're on North Street in St. Catharines, by the way. Coming on the program, as we talked about before, is Nancy Bousfield Kennedy. I'm using both those names because she's referred to on social media as Bousfield and then also as Kennedy. Hi, Nancy. Can we just call you Nancy?
You can call me that. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you for being here under not pleasant circumstances, for sure, because you've had to now relive this tragedy in your life over again over the past week. Mark was killed in an automotive collision almost almost 2 years ago now. What have the last couple of years been like for you?
If I can use the word hell, that would probably be putting it really mildly. I don't think people understand completely the torment that one goes through. It's been a journey that I wouldn't wish on anyone. You go through so many ups and downs, and the downs can be really, really dark. But I'm still standing. There's been some really good support. So family's been amazing. I give Mark's sister and her family credit because they've really kept me pushed forward, my son and grandkids. And I don't think if I had that, I wouldn't be standing or actually talking to anybody, because I'm done. I'm tired. It's been a road that
I can and it all came rushing back, I'm sure, when the woman that was driving that vehicle, Margaret Park Romaine is her name, an 84-year-old woman that hit Mark's car and caused it to collide with another vehicle and caused his death. She was sentenced this past week and a half or so to 3 years in prison. What was your reaction?
And what Matt, I think the biggest thing that I needed from this whole thing was that I needed Mark's life validated. And the judge did an amazing job. He actually validated who Mark was. And that to me was important, because no matter if she got 3 years or life in prison, Mark's never coming home.
Right.
He's never coming home, and she can't undo all the crap that she's caused. She just can't. So for me, 3 years, she needs to get knocked off her high horse, because if people would have seen her or her family in the court for that matter, it was like we were wasting their time. But here's the concept. If she didn't do what she did, I wouldn't have been there. None of us would have been there. So who's wasting whose time? So it was kind of nice that, you know what, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what stature or what you've done. If you're going to do something like this, you're going to pay for it. And that was the message that judge put out there. It doesn't matter who she is, what she's done. She's going to spend some time. And that to me is the message I think this judge did, that he really presented well. He validated Mark, but he presented the message now to our community that, hey, you're going to do something like this. If you're not capable of driving for whatever reason, she never did plead to her alcohol-related charges. But he's letting society know. He's letting everybody know. You do something like this, and the ramification is you're going to go to jail. And that, I think, is amazing.
Well, I'm pleased that you have some positivity to take from this process. That's a good thing, because so often people don't feel that they've received justice for their loved ones, and I'm pleased to hear that you have that reaction to that decision. You mentioned alcohol-related charges. That's a little bit of a murky spot in the case. There's probably something technical in the legal world about it, but I don't know what it is. And the fact that she was originally charged with driving under the influence and cause. Why did I just lose the word?
Let me throw that up, because everybody keeps asking me how come she didn't have to. How come we don't have those charges, and why?
Yeah, impaired.
Why that?
Yeah, that's what I just lost the word. Impaired driving causing death, and then the charge was altered to careless driving causing death. What's the deal there?
Well, the way it was all explained to me, there's a lot of things that I am not happy with our justice system, but the end result is I am satisfied enough that Mark got validated.
Right.
But the point for her, for the drinking and driving aspect of it, we have to take her age into consideration. I was told we were looking at another 3 to 5 years, and her mental capacity was starting to go, and blah blah blah. That if we well, I didn't even have the final say. If the Crown decided to keep pushing forward, and let's say 2 years from now, she no longer doesn't even know who she is or whatever, we would never get to a trial, and all those charges basically would be dropped, and there'd be no conviction. So where I looked at least there is a conviction. She is what she is. She's known now for what she is. Maybe not the alcohol part, but it is clearly documented, the alcohol part. So Mark was killed by a drunk driver, but a drunk driver who only pled to dangerous driving causing death. So for me, I don't care what she got, but she got knocked down to where she needed to be. And that is what she is. And she put no thought into what she did that day. She has really, truly put no thought into the ramifications of who she hurt. Like anybody that had a heart and would have been in sitting in court listening to the victim impact statements, even from the granddaughters, looking at the picture that my granddaughter did, there was no emotion, none from her or her family. That to me, those are the type of people that the judge has now sent a message to, that, you know what, you're not above the law, and you will pay. And so I am happy. Oh, amazing. I was really leery because it could have gone either way. And at the start of this, we were looking at her getting house arrest. And then there was possibility maybe 2 years. And when he said finally 3 years, that was just like, wow, he listened and he heard.
Well, again, like I said, that's a positive. Now, other than the healing, which they say is only aided by time, whoever they are, is this over for you now?
Oh, it's far from over for me, because now you have to also deal with the insurance company. Insurance companies, now, they don't pay out, and they'll drag their feet, and they'll do every tactic they can to stall this. So being a victim, Mark paid the ultimate price, but those of us left behind, and myself included, I'm getting victimized over and over. Like, so yesterday I had to finally list my home, and that's not fair.
You had to what?
List my home.
You have to sell your house?
I have to. I can't do it anymore. So, yeah, if the insurance actually stepped up to plate and did what they are supposed to do, yeah, it wouldn't be so bad. But they don't, and you know, it's one thing after another like that. So yeah, the court part's over, and I feel like a big burden has been lifted, but it's far from over. It's far from over.
Do you have, I'm assuming you have legal representation to try to get through the financial hurdles? Oh,
yeah. Yeah, but there's only so much they can do. It's if the insurance company, like if Economical really wanted to play nice and not cause any more stress, they would have brought this and moved it forward. But they're not in a hurry. And why should they be?
Well, they should be, because this was a tragic, unforeseen, surprised incident in a family's life, and that family needs support and assistance and the resources to carry on. What is their problem?
That's a good question. I keep asking that. They're going to wait now 2 years, because you have 2 years in which to file with a insurance company. So they're going to wait until after September 3rd to see how many other claims get put forward. But where I disagree with all that is that if you have a claim, and my claim's been in since last August, there is no dispute. I've jumped through all the hurdles. I've done everything that's been asked. I shouldn't have to wait on whoever decides to come in last minute. They know what, they just don't do the right thing. They really don't. And then one thing I did learn, and I'm really, really kind of surprised, and I haven't had any insurance person tell me differently, but if you have insurance, I don't know I was always told that, you have to increase your insurance policy, because if you don't have enough money, they'll come after you. Well, that's not the case. You can only go after a person for what they have for an insurance policy. So in this case, financially, Margaret hasn't suffered except for her lawyer. And if the insurance company really wants to drag it out, they can drag this out for years. I could be looking at another trial to get this rectified. And that to me is just, I think I've suffered a lot. No, I know I've suffered a lot. So this is just another thing that's not right. It's just not right.
Wow. There are so many personal injury lawyers and law firms in Niagara. We see their signs and advertisements everywhere we go. It seems that, especially now, I can understand to a point the hesitancy to wrap up this financial obligation that might be there until the sentence. But the trial is now over. The person is convicted. It was proven that Mark died as a result of someone else's indiscretions, etc. You'd think that would put a bow on it and you could move forward and get on with the rest of your life, wouldn't you?
Well, you would think, but it doesn't work that way. They really truly they control the whole thing. So if they decide now, all right, you know what, we'll hire, the insurance company now decides to hire a lawyer, it puts it into another whole different ball game. It's just one fight after another. And honestly, I think sometimes they do that just so that they can wear you down and starve you out. You'll take anything to move forward. Well, yesterday, listing the house, I have nothing left to lose. So if you want to starve me out, go ahead. I've lost everything. Shouldn't say everything, but the things that matter to me are gone, and I'm watching them go. So that's even harder than, there's been so many things that have been hard throughout this whole process.
Oh, don't give up.
Losing one's home isn't the one that should happen.
Kev?
Nancy, we've been friends going back to the first time we talked shortly after Mark's death in September of 2021. And through social media, you've been very emotional with your posts. Talk about the heartache that you've experienced as a widow, as a victim, and maybe even the extended family about the 2 years that it's taken to reach a sentencing, all the while Margaret is celebrating birthdays, gets to enjoy time with her family, and that's been ripped away from you, maybe for the next 20 or 30 years. And then also, Mark probably had 30 or 40 more years together, and Margaret's going to see 3 behind bars. It's not exactly an eye for an eye. I want to know your take on that.
Well, I know you've read my different posts and things that I have posted, and it is difficult. I think what was even more difficult, she pled January 30th, and then sentencing was supposed to be March 30th. That got put off to April 28th. And then on April 28th, which was the day we did all our victim impact statements, I was told that we could expect a week or two before actual sentencing. And sentencing then didn't take place till July 13th. That was 2.5 months later. That just really hurt, I think, even more, because there was the long weekend, and then 2 long weekends actually then went by, and she actually had summertime. Like it's just not right. Like some days the anger can get really bad. So sometimes my posts can be really bad, and sometimes I delete them before I actually post them because the anger is still real. Yeah. It's very real.
You know what, Nancy? As somebody who read them, I'm happy you did. I knew that they were emotional posts, but it's very important that people understand your side of the story, and that's one of the reasons why we bring you on.
Thank you. Appreciate it. People need to know that, the judge actually said it really, really well, and I wish I could say it verbatim, but we take it for granted driving our car. We all take it for granted. But we all don't realize our actions, the consequences could be huge. The ramifications.
Here's what Judge O'Donnell said. The most dangerous, this is a quote from the judge, the most dangerous thing we will do in our lives is to operate a vehicle. However, because of its routine nature, we take driving for granted. We do not think about the irreparable human damage we can do when we head out to meet friends for coffee, or make sure we're not late for work, or to pick up children, spouses, or groceries as we rush home at the end of the day. We forget the most important equation in the automobile world: driving plus distraction equals danger. Driving plus distraction equals death. And those were some of the words from Judge O'Donnell, and that's oh so true. We see it every day on the road. All of us see people doing things in their vehicles that they shouldn't be doing. That whole distraction thing.
Exactly. He was amazing. Like, I wish that everybody could have heard him speak. As emotional as it was for us that day, he actually heard, and I don't know if it's politically right or not, but if we had to have any kind of a judge, I'm glad we had him, because he just nailed the whole situation, and he didn't let her get off with a, like, oh, well, you're old and, you have problems. Yeah. And he actually wanted to make a statement. And when I did my victim impact statement, I can speak out all I want, but society's not going to get the message unless he helped to send it, and he did. And so I'm really happy on that point. I would be happier if I wasn't talking to anybody and had my life back, but if it had to be, I'm glad it turned out the way that it did.
Well, we wish you all the best moving forward with yet another trauma involved with having to find another place to live for the next couple of decades, or whatever it is we all have left on this planet, as they say. I hope something is resolved that works out in your favor. I don't even know how to phrase it, but most of us can't imagine the one heartbreak after another that you've had to deal with, and you're still dealing with it. If you could just be able to relax and go through the mourning process and move on, that would be the best you could hope for. But now, with the sale of your house, I don't know what to say.
It doesn't stop, and I think that's the thing people have to understand. It doesn't stop. They always say when somebody dies, life keeps moving forward, and it does. And for a lot of people, it keeps moving forward. But mine I'm not even sure where mine's at. I'm moving forward because I'm still standing, but there has to come a day. There has to come a day when things level out. There has to be. I need that peace.
I hope for you that day is very soon. Nancy, our hearts go out to you, and I know that doesn't mean anything because it doesn't accomplish anything, but I really do appreciate your coming on the program today. We really do, and we want to stay in touch with you and see how you're doing. Have a chat in a few months, and a few months after that, etc. Because I can only believe that you're going to come out of this okay. And I know that sounds kind of like setting the bar pretty low, but I think you will. You're a pretty strong woman, and I think you're gonna do okay. So I hope that's true.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Wow. And as we were talking about before, Kevin, in the blink of an eye, less than a blink of an eye, lives change. to never be reclaimed in the way they were before. Yeah, as Nancy said, moving forward, but moving forward, the path has certainly changed.
And Leah, I truly meant what I said there about all of her emotional posts over the last 2 years. She says, you write things and you delete them, and we all do that, right? We all err on the side of caution, and if you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. But sometimes, sometimes we need to hear the raw truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to hear from Nancy that, hey, life's not fair. Hey, this judicial system, yeah, nice. I hope she enjoyed the last 2 years, because I've spent the last 2 years grieving and without my partner in life. So, another happy birthday.
And the legal system, the justice system being what it is, it's more the norm than it is the exception that these cases drag and inch their way toward conclusion. These trials and the results of them and either payments or jail sentences or whatever, it's inevitable that they will last for a long time, and the people, the victims, will continue to have to relive these things like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. And I can't imagine the pain that is associated with that.
Now, through Niagara 411, in the last 24, 48 hours, 2 people are loose, I guess, and people have been critical of the system as well. As why are these guys out there?
Well, there again, a repeat offender parole enforcement squad. It even has its own acronym, ROPE. There you go. Well, somebody untied the rope, and the squad is requesting your assistance in trying to locate this dude, Kyle Hunt. Now, he's a federal offender. He's wanted as someone who did not live up to the terms of his parole. He's a 33-year-old Indigenous male, 6 feet, 170 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes. Now, he is currently, there's an interesting way to phrase it, currently serving a 2-year, 8-month sentence for possession of substance for trafficking, concealed weapon, failure to comply with probation order, etc., and failed to comply with the court order. He's known to frequent the Hamilton, Stony Creek, and Brantford areas. So here's a dude that was out on parole on 2 sentences and flew the coop.
So what about this guy on the left?
Oh, there's another buckaroo doing the same kind of deal here. Federal offender wanted, Joseph Camus. Repeat. Oh, look, Rope is involved with this one too. They're requesting your assistance. On a Canada-wide warrant, he was on statutory released, Caucasian male, 40 years old, 5'8", 216 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. He also is currently serving a 2-year, 1-month sentence for break and enter, mischief in relation to other property, etc., theft under $5,000. You might call him a menial criminal, but he's a criminal nevertheless. He was incarcerated as part of our system and was out on a conditional release, I guess. He's gone, and you see, because we don't keep these people in jail, we have this whole squad that's being paid to try to keep track of these people. We have a whole squad of people now called Rope that we're paying to look after people that are out on the street that are now taken off, and we wouldn't even need this squad. We wouldn't have to pay these people to do this work if we could keep them in jail. But we can't keep them in jail because there's no space, and they're not deemed habitual offenders, I guess, or whatever, but they're out on 2 charges roaming around and then just decide to get lost.
Now, Lee, I always thought it was an orange jumpsuit, but I guess it's a blue T-shirt?
I guess blue T-shirts must be the norm. Right?
Must be. I think I'm going to put all my blue T-shirts away.
Yeah, and they should hand out razors in prison.
Guy looks like Mose from The Office.
I don't know. I guess, yeah, I mean, as they say, you shouldn't... A lot of people with beards out there. I'm sorry if we offended. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry at all. Oh gosh. Anyway,
what do you wanna
keep an eye out for those guys.
What do you want to look at here, Lee? We got a few minutes left in the program.
Well, let's flash back a little bit to talk about Henry and Bella. Bella is a therapy dog. Henry is Bella's owner, handler, and for the last number of years, they have been visiting retirement homes and hospitals and even the Niagara Detention Center and all sorts of places where there are vulnerable people that can use some emotional support and some uplifting experiences. And Therapy Tales Ontario is the organization that Henry and Bella plied their trade within. And you can follow it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but Henry and Bella were asked not to return. Terminated was the rule. And I don't know how you terminate volunteers. It always seems to make me want to giggle. Hello, I'm going to work for you for nothing, and you're terminating me. Okay. Wrap your head around that one for a little while. But all because Bella St. Bernard was wearing, as part of her therapeutic costume, I guess, a mock beer can around her neck, following up on the history of the St. Bernard breed that used to rescue people lost in the Alps, in the snow, in Europe, and they would have kegs of brandy around their neck so that when they found the person that needed rescuing, this person could have a shot of this therapeutic warming liquid to kind of jumpstart their system. That was the whole concept, because I'm not promoting the use of brandy, but if you just have even a sniff of it, you'll know that it's a powerful warming agent for sure. So as kind of a humorous acknowledgement to the breed, Henry created a mock beer can, this being Canada, duh, see the connection? And it was generally received with the humor with which it was intended. But there were all kinds of other things. Anyway, it exploded across. After we did our show, it's nice to see that this program sometimes has some impact beyond its walls. After we did the show with Henry and he talked to us about Bella, that's still available, by the way, on the WeeStream YouTube page or on Niagara 411. In the videos section, you can see the interview with Henry if you missed it. It's been picked up by the print media in the area. All the daily newspapers carried it around the area. It was in the Toronto Star. CHCH television in Hamilton just did an on-camera report not too many days ago with Henry about the Bella story, and it has taken on quite a large life of its own. And not that we're interested in any way, shape, and form of taking down an organization that does good work, like Therapy Tales Ontario does do good work. I mean, they're volunteers and their animals, etc. It's good work that they do. However, as you know, sometimes organizations at a certain level can get a little bit too important for their britches, as my mom used to say. And I think that's a case of what's happened here. It's like it's okay. People do understand a sense of humor. People do get the fact that this is something that is supposed to bring fun and enjoyment into people's lives, and you lose sight of the whole goal if you start navel gazing and take the whole thing out of perspective.
Lee, I've been following this saga ever since we had Henry on our show 2 weeks ago.
Me too.
I read some of the correspondence from Therapy Tales Ontario, and I'll just take it. I don't know the people there, but my take on it is they have risen above the level of their own intelligent competency.
Yeah.
What the communication I was reading reeked of people that were really trying to sound like they were mentally up to the fight, but they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Sometimes one of the greatest lessons that people will ever learn is it's okay to say, I'm wrong, even if you've dug your heels in. It's perfectly okay. And I don't know why, again, they don't have, I don't think they have the intelligence required to say, maybe we should back off on this one. Maybe we're wrong on this.
It's definitely been a public relations nightmare and a marketing boondoggle for the organization, because it seemed to me, to go to your point, Kevin, that they were constantly trying to justify their position as opposed to reverse it. And it would have been simple. Okay, we get it. All right. So, yeah, we overreacted. Okay. But that, obviously, now the die is cast, as Julius Caesar would say, or Shakespeare, or whatever. The die is cast. The deal is done. They're in too deep. Now, it's shark-infested waters now for that organization, and I hope the good deeds that the organization does do and is mandated to do don't stop, because there are people. We don't want to see miss the forest for the trees here. There are people that are benefiting every day from these dogs and their owners and their handlers, and I hope that continues. Yeah. So that, just wanted to follow up on that, because that's a story that we did, and Jessica Friesen of Gales Gas Bars actually sent me a private note, sent me an email and say, hey, I know these people, and this is kind of a strange story. You might want to follow up, which we did, and whew,
yeah, it definitely blew up.
Definitely exploded.
The couple stories here from Niagara 411 over the last week, we're trending into kind of late last week. Did you see this story coming out of Welland City Hall? I mean, you get a job at the city, you think, okay, maybe I'm going to work the front desk or something like that, but there you go. Got a solid municipal job, and then you got to deal with this stuff. Did you see this one? Tuesday, July 4th. Hey, happy Independence Day, buddy.
I have to confess, Kevin, I did not, but we'll walk through here. On Tuesday, July the 4th, uniform officers called to Welland City Hall following reports of a male engaged in indecent acts. Further investigation revealed, in the early afternoon hours, a male had entered the public female washroom and performed an indecent act before urinating on the floor. It's then alleged the same male engaged in a further indecent act in the entrance to the building in the presence of a young female. The investigation led to the identification of the male, 27-year-old Nathan Peddle, who was arrested and charged with the following offenses: indecent act, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, that's not something you would expect to
yeah, honey,
see.
How was work today?
Well, this young fella came in and did some weird stuff and peed on the floor, and I was pretty freaked out. Oh, well, have a nice day tomorrow when you go back to work.
So you're telling me that Peddle piddled?
Paddle piddled.
Peddle piddled.
Yeah.
And he's going to be charged for it.
You're not supposed to, yeah.
He has been charged. Now, there's another one
Piddling
here
Peddle is going to be prosecuted.
that I'm just going to, and I don't know the inspiration for this. We didn't touch on it last week on the story because it seemed kind of innocuous, and it had to do with, I'll put myself on screen here. Had to do with a theft that we've heard about before in the past. You know, teenagers, they jumped a guy that was in a park because they wanted his sneakers.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that story? So it was Mount Carmel in Niagara Falls, and I thought, okay, well, whatever. I don't really want to cover that, but you know, a teenage boy reports that 4 people jumped him and stole his shoes, and of course, you know, gave description to the police and so on and so forth. Well, trying to find the story here where we kind of get the other side of it, because they continued their investigation and ended up, you know, circling back to the victim and saying, are you sure this really happened? And here we go. I don't know what the inspiration would be. Okay, so to go to Kevin's point, they're investigating a robbery. Their criminal investigative branch continued to investigate a robbery reported to have occurred on the 25th of June, as Kevin said, Mount Carmel Park, about 8:30 in the evening. They determined that a young male alleged he was assaulted for not surrendering his running shoes
to a group of 4 unknown teenagers lied to responding officers about what had actually transpired. After interviewing witnesses who came forward as a result of the initial media release, detectives have concluded a robbery did not take place at all. The male youth arrested by detectives for the criminal code offense of public mischief, then released unconditionally, as an extrajudicial measure in accordance with the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Okay, do we know actually what was the story? Did they follow up on?
I don't know. I'm wondering if, did the kid sell the shoes? And then when he came home, his parents asked him what happened to the shoes we bought you, so concocted some... I don't know what the motivation would be.
You have a devious mind.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out.
That sounds like a possibility.
How would this story make its way to the police
So
to the point
basically-
that the kid doesn't pull the plug on his own roost?
Basically, he doesn't have his sneakers anymore. And he made up a story as to why he doesn't have his sneakers.
I'm guessing. I mean, what would the motivation be? To say I got jumped by 4 utes in a park.
Yeah, did you say utes?
I said utes. 4 utes in a park, and they rolled me. I don't know. I got to go set up the outside camera.
Okay.
Coming up here shortly. Oh, gosh. Who are we going to feature here? I forgot. Her name just escaped me. Boy, I'm really... Haley Verall. Haley Verall's got a song, Slow Motion.
Okay.
She's an up-and-coming country singer, I think, maybe country crossover. She calls Burlington home, but, over the years she has played many shows, and I've seen her featured in a lot of the regular concert venues in and around St. Catharines in Niagara, so we'll play a new single from her.
Awesome. Haley Verall coming up to play us off the stage. I want to thank once again before we go Gale's Gas Bars for fueling this program, as they have been fueling Niagara for 50 years plus, and I'm sure at least 50 into the future. For all your fueling and petroleum needs, even in the wintertime, they deliver fuel oil in the sleet and the snow, and they deliver, as they say. The Verge Insurance Group, thank you very much, Mark Shirk, Blake Shirk, and again, the insurance businesses took a bashing on this program today, and I think it proves that you've got to be careful who you're dealing with and understand what you want from the company and what the company is obligated to you for. So, something to always ask people when you're talking about insurances of any kind. So, Verge Insurance, if you have any questions, ask them. Hartzell Marine, thank you very much also for being a sponsor of the program. This is about the third or fourth show that we've had with Hartzell Marine on board. And look, they're still here. That's awesome. Dave DeGrave and the gang, Niagara's only legend boat dealer, as well as Mercury Marine. And Ace Alignment, thank you so much also for joining the program over the last 3 or 4 shows. It's been just super to have you here. Darren and Matt will look after any and all of your automotive needs, and we have a car alarm going on somewhere. Somebody's trying to... we heard today, speaking of that police in Ontario, I think it's an OPP initiative, cracked an automotive theft ring of massive proportions. They called it Operation Big Rig, I think, was in the news this morning. A massive operation of not just stolen vehicles, but stolen property, etc. Organized crime led initiative of crime, and apparently they've cracked the ring and split it wide open, and hopefully broke it for good. So that was pretty interesting news. And Kevin, I didn't mention this before, but again, something that appeared on Niagara 411 that I totally concur with is lock it or lose it. Never forget to lock your cars. We did. We had some work going on in our house, so I couldn't park in the driveway. So we parked in the neighbors and we parked on the road, etc. And we live in a quiet neighborhood. Boy, we live in a quiet, safe North End St. Catharines neighborhood. But the slithering beast can find you wherever you are as it just floats by. And if you forget one thing, you're going to pay for it. And we did not lock one of our cars. and came out the next day, and the entire inside of the car was ransacked. There was stuff all over the place. Luckily, they left our papers behind and just stole some coins and things. But the scariest part was there was a cigarette butt on the front mat of the car. In the driver's side, on the floor mat, there was a cigarette butt and a burn in the carpet. So whoever it was who went through our car left a lit cigarette in our car on the floor.
And you haven't CSI'd this and done the DNA, taken the saliva?
Oh yeah, right. That's going to happen.
How much was stolen, sir? $5.95 in change.
Yes, but the fact is, if these vehicles weren't made with flame retardant materials, there could have been a massive fire in our neighborhood because we left our car unlocked.
Yeah, it's too bad that happened to you. A guy that
Lock your cars.
A guy that I play hockey with had security footage from his front driveway.
Yeah.
His wife didn't lock her car that night. The guy checked both cars. Hey, bingo! Opened the wife's car and ransacked.
Yeah, because they walk by and they just try the handles. They're not going to break windows and do all that kind of stuff because they don't know if they're going to get anything. But they'll walk around the neighborhood and they'll just try the handles. And if they try the handles, they're in. And so lock your cars always, and we always do. But the one time we didn't. So now every night we like I double and triple check to make sure, because it makes you feel violated too. You know, like your stuff. Well, though it's not anything terribly revealing or private, but it's just your stuff, and it makes you feel violated that somebody's in there messing around with it. You know, it's not a good feeling.
Did he steal your Best of Santana CD?
No, I have that in my studio at home. That was a great album. Carlos Santana, one of the smartest musicians in history, when he came out and re-released that album that he did with all of the other singers, that was a brilliant move. He made a fortune from that album.
Yeah, introduces yourself to a whole other
good
generation.
Album too.
Yeah.
Okay. I really want to thank the ladies that joined us on the program today, going through some terribly difficult times. Aimee Corfield, the widow of Dave Norkett, who was killed in a workplace accident very recently, Saturday, June the 24th. Still trying to come to terms with what happened and what is continuing to happen. And Nancy Bousfield Kennedy, wife of Mark Stewart, who was killed 2 years ago in a tragic automotive accident. His killer, Margaret Park Romaine, thank you, was just sentenced to a 3-year term for careless driving resulting in death. An important, in quotes, person in Niagara over the years. And to go to Nancy's point, the judge made it very, very clear that no matter who you are or what you've done, you're not above the law. And that's a powerful message. So to Nancy and Aimee, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. Kevin, what's going on with WeeStream? Give us 30 seconds before we introduce Haley.
Not a whole lot. You know what? We kind of slowed things down over the summer, so we'll be out there doing various council meetings and what have you over the next couple of weeks, but for the most part, kind of slowing down and enjoying summer before we ramp back up in the fall. Okay. But have a big meeting this afternoon, and hopefully we can come together to help out yet another community partner right here in Niagara.
Okay, and in the meantime, you're just going to be hanging around your brand new big deck?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay.
You can come over anytime,
Lee. Thanks. I'll take you up on that. Haley Verall is, that's how we say it, correct, Kev?
Sure.
Is going to be our musical guest to play us off the stage of this episode 16 in season 4 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. That's me. It's always a pleasure to spend some time with you here every couple of weeks. Have yourself a great week, what's left of it, a super weekend, a nice, safe summer. Haley Verall, ladies and gents.
about is growing up and moving out, chasing those dreams, but it ain't all it seems. First car, first love, first time you got dumped. Don't blink twice, it'll all be gone. It can feel so slow, waiting on tomorrow, but enjoy the moment, 'cause time is borrowed. Can't get it back, can't press pause, so don't let it go. Start living in slow motion. Whoa, slow motion, yeah. Crazy how those dreams get hit with reality, getting pennies for your time, but you're paying out dimes. Should be the best years of your life, so live it up, enjoy the ride, and don't blink twice, it'll all be gone. It can feel so slow, waiting on tomorrow, but enjoy the moment, 'cause time is borrowed. Can't get it back, can't press pause, so don't let it go. Start living in slow motion. Whoa, slow motion. Whoa, don't blink twice, it'll all be gone. It can feel so slow, waiting on tomorrow, but enjoy the moment. It can feel so